Students, today we start with the chapter Landscape of the Soul. Please open your books. Open your books, everyone. Once again, yes, I am giving a little warning beforehand that it is not a story. It is, once again, an essay. It's a discussion about art. It's a discussion about drawings. And yes, when we talk about a landscape, what do you think is a landscape? Do you remember the landscapes you did? Yes. What was there in the landscape? It's a drawing. Yes. And what would you draw when you were asked to make a landscape? So it was just, I think so you've never done a drawing class if you've not done a landscape like that. So you would have mountains in the background, a river flowing, and a hut, clouds, and valley birds, the sun also, everything. So yes, so that is okay. Silence now. So that is one of the most beautiful memories, I would say, of the masterpieces that you created, right? Of course. So same, everyone, I think so from when I was in school also, it's the same landscape that everybody has been doing. You asked me to make a landscape, I'll draw the same thing again because I'm very bad at drawing, right? Okay. And yes, we have people here. I have students here in this class who are amazing artists. Amazing, amazing artwork that they've been doing. So whether it was your projects last year or the brochures that you did or the activities that you participated in. So beautiful drawings, you know, and it's a talent which really needs to be appreciated. And when an artist, Garv, you are going to get up and move that side, please. Please. Okay. Now, when we do drawings and paintings, like a layman is a person who, like you and me, who does not have much knowledge. But let us discuss it with the artists. So when they make, paintings, landscapes, or their portraits, or the still paintings, right? Whatever, is it that, like you want people to appreciate what you have shown? Or do you want the public or the people to admire or try to understand what you're showing in that painting? Both? Yes? No, like I'm asking you here. So when you look at the painting here, some paintings are their masterpieces, right? And they're often discussed and they're talked about a lot, like, yeah, you're wondering what is it that is being tried, like, or being shown over here. And some paintings are still a mystery. Have you heard about Mona Lisa? Yes. What about Mona Lisa? A facial expression and a smile, like you're wondering, who is she smiling at and what is there that smile there? So many mysteries there regarding that. Similarly, there are other paintings also, like, and when we talk about artists, when you talk about paintings, do you think you will appreciate a painting which is very realistic, which has all the details which you see around in real life? Or would you appreciate one that is trying to convey a message, where the painter is trying to add his or her own elements? Yes? Megha, Samriddhi? The second one? So you would appreciate that. And there are some art forms. Have you heard about abstract art and abstract paintings? So you heard about it. So that is, like you have geometric patterns also, you have human forms also, and the painter is there trying to, convey a message through that, right? So we have heard about M.F. Hussain also in the latest times, right? And when we, like if you do find about, if you are there interested in art, if you read about the Indian paintings, so various forms, like you have the Madhubani paintings, you have this Tanjore art and all, right? So different art forms that are there. And depending, yes, on what it is that they want to show. So what we are going to discuss in this chapter is when an artist creates a work of art. What is more important? Is it, replicating that thing? Or is it that we try to understand that? Both are important. Yes. And there are stories that are associated with art forms. Now, when you talk about art form, do you think painting is the only art form? Apart from painting, what other forms are there? Sculptures are there. Very good. Yes. What? Yes. That's it. Sculptures. You have even you have the pottery also, isn't it? Right. So that there. Then nowadays we have people using even discarded objects. They put them together and they create art form, artwork. Right. So art is not limited to the canvas only nowadays. Right. So art is there, very, very diverse form. And when you talk about sculptures here, we talk about rock art. When we talk about our temples there, you see how intricately everything has been carved. Right. So in fact, when you go down south, you have that you've heard about Mahabalipuram. Have you heard about Mahabalipuram? So right, so there, like it seems as if everybody is involved in these sculptures. Beautiful rock art and a beautiful work of art. And yes, so when you look at the temples and you really admire that, how were they able to carry these huge, massive rocks and create such a masterpiece, right? So it is not that here, like, of course, it has evolved with the time. There have been different fields of art. And in this chapter, what are we going to discuss about? We are discussing European art and Chinese art. And Chinese here, like when you talk about Oriental art, and even when we talk about Indian art forms here, when we have that element of spirituality, right? We have that element of emotions, which when you look at European art, what do they focus on? They focus on a reality. Let's see if there is this landscape in front of them, right? So they're going to replicate it. But if it is a Chinese artist, he is not going to put so much of detail. He's going to leave some emptiness. He's going to leave some space where the viewer, that is us, we can look at that painting and add our own meaning to it, right? So when we look, like, of course, our cultures, they affect a lot on the artwork that we have produced, right? So let's start with the chapter. So I will discuss all these things here as we do it here now. A wonderful old tale is about the painter Wu Daozi. Yes, please tell the page. Page 34, found it? Yes. A wonderful old tale is about the painter Wu Daozi, who lived in the 8th century. Wu Daozi, which place do you think he belonged to? China, okay. Who lived in the 8th century. His last painting was a landscape commissioned by the Tang Emperor, the dynasty, Xuanzong, to decorate a palace wall. The master had hidden his work behind a screen, so only the emperor would see it. Who's the master here? The painter. He had made the painting, but what did he do? He hid it behind a screen. I don't want everybody to see it. It's not for the public eye. Only the emperor could see it. Okay. For a long while, the emperor admired the wonderful scene, discovering forests, high mountains, waterfalls, clouds floating in an immense sky, men on hilly paths, birds in flight. Look, sire, said the painter. In this cave, at the foot of the mountain, dwells a spirit. So what did the emperor see in that painting? The things that were visible. He never made an effort to take a deeper look at that painting and try to understand what is it that the painter wanted to show. The painter wanted him to look at the painting very carefully and to see things beyond what is visible, right? But he looked what was there. What were the things that he noticed in the painting? So the forest, the mountains, the waterfalls, the clouds, he noticed all that. Yes, right? Look, sire, sir, said the painter. In this cave at the foot of the mountain dwells a spirit. So the cave, that opening over there, dwell means live. A spirit lives there. The painter clapped his hands and the entrance to the cave opened. Imagining all this happening in the painting. The painter clapped his hands and the cave opened. Yeah, open sesame, isn't it? The inside is splendid, beyond anything words can convey. Please let me show your majesty the way. The painter wanted the king, the emperor, to go along with him and see the beautiful world that was inside the cave. But the king, he had been looking at the painting, but he never noticed this little detail, right? Because he was just looking at what was there clearly visible. The painter entered the cave, but the entrance closed behind him. And before the astonished emperor could move or utter a word, the painting had vanished from the wall. Not a trace of Wu Daoxi's brush was left, and the artist was never seen again in this world. Now, this is an anecdote. It's a story, right, from the past, and yes, conveying a message. What do you think is the message here, which the painter was trying to convey? And why was the emperor not allowed to enter the cave? The emperor could see everything, and yes, the emperor ruled over the territory, right? The mountains, and the waterfalls, and all those forests and everything, they were a part of his empire. But what about the artist? Could he control the artist? No. And the artist there, because he also realized that this person was unable to understand or appreciate the depth of my painting. He entered the cave closed, and the painting also disappeared. Okay? Such stories played a part in China's classical education. The books of Confucius and Zhuangzi are full of them. They help the master to guide his disciple in the right direction. So it's not important here that chapters have to be taught and concepts have to be taught. Even through stories, important lessons could be taught. So here, when you are talking about, you want to teach values, you want to teach morals to your students, and here to the painter, to the artist, that see your art, this is how it should be. Right? So only people should be able to understand it. They should be able to appreciate it. They should be able to notice the finer things that you are trying to show. Not only realistic, right? They are deeply revealing of the spirit in which art was considered. Contrast this story or another famous one about a painter who would not draw the eye of a dragon he had painted, for fear it would fly out of the painting. With an old story from my native Flanders that I find most representative of Western painting. Now, this is about, like Eastern painting or Oriental art or Chinese painting. Now, what about the second incident that he talks about? Why was the painter afraid to complete the drawing of the dragon? What would happen to the dragon if he painted the eye? What did he think would happen? It would come alive and fly away. So the painter did not want that to happen, right? And look at the first also, that he felt that painting is an extension of himself. And yes, he wanted the king to understand, to appreciate what he was trying to show, right? So yes, when we do read about Chinese art, what is it? They want you to understand, not only appreciate the external or the things which are there on the surface. Okay, is this clear? Yes, is it clear? Trisha, Gurkirat, Dipanshu? Okay, are you sure? Are you sure? Yes, at home, students? Now let us look at a story which is in absolute contrast, which is different completely. In 15th century Antwerp, a master blacksmith called Quentin Metzges fell in love with a painter's daughter. The father would not accept a son-in-law in such a profession because painters consider themselves very high above the blacksmiths. What do you think a blacksmith does? Iron works, very good. And apprentice, who's an apprentice? Jo seekhta hai, okay. And yes, so here it was yes, so this blacksmith, he fell in love with a painter's daughter. Their professions are absolutely poles apart. One is a creator, right? One is there who appreciates beauty and tries to recreate it. Another is there, okay, you know, like doing this very hard manual work. Okay, so big difference there. So Quentin sneaked into the painter's studio and painted a fly on his latest panel with such delicate realism that the master tried to swat it away before he realized what had happened. Now the blacksmith was not an artist. He was not an artist. He was not a painter. But what did he do? He made a fly on the panel that the painter was making, right? And that fly was so real that even you can say that painter got confused and he tried to remove it by swatting it, by hitting it, right? Then he realized, see what has happened. Quentin was immediately admitted as an apprentice into his studio to learn art painting. He married his beloved and went on to become one of the most famous painters of his age. These two stories illustrate what each form of art is trying to achieve. A perfect illusionist likeness in Europe, the essence of inner life and spirit in Asia. See, he was a blacksmith. And it's not necessary, like, of course, it was not required that he should have an eye for beauty or he should have an eye for appreciation about the beauty or the essence of life, right? He drew that fly, which was so real, and it was considered to be a good work of art. Now, underline these lines here. Very, very important here. What is it about the artwork of Europe? What do they look for? Illusionistic likeness. Likeness means similarity. How similar it is. How same it is. Right? So like, see, that person changed his opinion that, see, he can draw something so similar. He can copy it. Is copying something, you know, like replicating something on paper, can you call it artwork? You can call it artwork. Would we appreciate more if someone added their own vision to it or added some more, you can say, variety or angle to it? So this is the major difference between European art and Chinese art. What do European artists look for? Or what is considered good in European art? Likeness. Likeness kya hai? Similarity. And in Chinese, way of life, what do they think? Art is a way of life. ये हमारी life का एक part है, right? So we need to understand the essence of life. So art is a part of life. It is not something separate, right? So it should be there, incorporated. So what you know about life, it should be incorporated in your work. What is essence? The essence of inner life and spirit in Asia. What is essence? What is essence? What is a vanilla essence? If you're into cooking, flavor. See, you got it immediately when I said that. So if I say the essence of life, or you can say like this book, it teaches us about the essence of life. What is essence over here? The meaning of life, the true value of life. Okay, right? So here, which one teaches us about life? Which form of art requires that art needs to be an understanding of life? Which one? Oriental art, Chinese art, Asian art. And which one prefers or rather accepts that creating a likeness is also a form of art? European. So please remember this as we continue with our reading of this chapter. So I'll put an end to our reading today here because yes, so this chapter is a little bit of